What's up everyone, Destech here, and today we'll be looking at some performance metrics of the newly revealed i9-7900X by Intel, which was revealed in E3 3 weeks back. This processor comes in the price almost same as i7-6950X, which is a 10-core 20-thread CPU same as 7900X. Then what's the difference between the two? First of all, 6950X is based on older Broadwell CPUs, whereas 7900X is a Skylake X series CPU. Intel has changed the platform to X299 chipset with 2066 sockets, and this processor comes as the base model of i9 series. 12, 14, 16 and 18 core processor are also down the line with no base or boost clock revealed in all of i9 except the 7900X. CPU supports quad channel DDR4 memory with 44 PCIe lanes. It has a base frequency of 3.3 GHz and a max turbo frequency of 4.3 GHz. It has a Turbo Boost Max 3.0 technology, which pushes 2 cores of the processors to 4.5 GHz if only those 2 cores are used, and Intel has also removed the integrated GPU from the processors. This means that you need a GPU in your PC to display something. Earlier, iGPU can be used to check if the video card is faulty by switching to iGPU, but now I think you need a second working video card to check. These are most likely rebadged products from Intel's Xeon range, except like the cheaper offerings arriving, they include the usual desktop features, some of which are new with the X299. Intel's own schedule points to an October 2017 launch for the 14, 16 and 18 core parts. The 12-core i9-7920X is slated to appear in August, which means that this move can probably be seen as a reaction to AMD's Threadripper, which promises up to 16 cores rather than the plan all along. There are also 2 quad cores joining the fray. Whether Intel is a little jittery here, though, is a little beside the point. We have seen rumors that AMD's 16-core Threadripper will cost as little as $850, making it cheaper than the 10-core i9-7900X that we are reviewing today, which has an MSRP of $999. The core i9-7900X has also an improved Turbo Boost Max technology 3.0 setup, which we will talk more about in a minute. Short story is, it can be boosted up to 4.5 GHz, which is a 500 MHz advantage over the core i7-6950X. It's a squeeze for sure. On one hand, you're likely to see more an offer for the same cash from Intel both in terms of feature, clock speed and raw performance, but later this summer we are hearing rumors of August Threadripper could shake things up again. If we compare the i7 and i9 of X series, we can see that all the processors above 7900X doesn't have all the details with it, which points that Intel rushed these reveals in order to cope up with the AMD Threadripper. For testing, we have 32 GB of 3000 MHz RAM, a GTX 1080. For CPU cooling, we have Fractal Design Celsius 24. The test will be compared with other processors to see how it stands. First, Handbrake Video Transcode, converting a 4K 60-second MKV file to a 1080p MP4 file. Here we can see that 7900X is definitely benefited with more cores and higher clock speed, because if we compare that overclocked 6950X and a stock 7900X, the 6950X takes 2 seconds less. It doesn't seem to be a huge difference, but it increases the gap when larger file size and longer videos are compared. Similar trends goes on for different tests as well. Not much has changed in overclocking terms compared to Broadwell. For a quick boost, you can simply increase the multiplier, set a V-core and away you go. However, there are also usual DMI ratios if you are fiddling with base clock, from which the DMI clock are derived, and not much has changed in overclocking terms compared to Broadwell. For a quick boost, you can simply increase the multiplier, set a V-core and away you go. However, there are also usual DMI ratios if you are fiddling with base clock, from which the DMI clock are derived and which can affect stability. However, with the Kaby Lake X, the PCI clock is fixed at 100 MHz, no matter what you do with the base clock. However, temperatures were definitely a concern with Cinebench and Terragon pushing 100C with our 240mm AIO liquid cooler. As a result, while stable and potentially teamable under custom water cooling, we decided to go for 4.6 GHz for benchmarking, which required a super low 1.22 volts. Interestingly, a core i7-6950X ran much more cooler despite using a significantly higher voltage at 4.4 GHz. This could well be due to thermal paste having been used between the heat spreader and CPUs, in which case deleting could potentially yield significantly benefits given the high heat density. If Skylake X appeared in a year's time as a blunted reaction to AMD's shenanigans, one would rightly suggest that what we have seen today is an indicator of Intel ramping things up to prevent AMD eating into its market share. However, Skylake X has landed barely a couple of months after Ryzen. It's not been created in 12 weeks but has been on the cards for a long time, certainly way before the Ryzen hype train arrived in 2016 leading up to mass launch this year. So it is established that the Core i9-7900X is potentially a great overclocker and has super performance at stock speed too. But what about Intel's versus AMD? Well, in games such as Fallout 4, there's still very little difference. The Ryzen 7 1800X was a little slower in Ashes of Singularity and Deus Ex. When overclocked, the real question is value. The Core i9-7900X is more than twice the price of Ryzen 7 1800X. Yet in Terragon 4, Cinebench and Handbrake and in games, it's far from being twice as fast. In fact, the defects are almost exactly what we would accept from 2-core 4-threaded deflect. We can't really speculate on Threadripper of course, but with rumors pointing to an August launch, if you are in market for high-end system, it could be worth waiting. In the meantime though, Intel has shown its hand, and it's very good one indeed. That's all for this video. Get subscribed for more future content like this. Thank you. Peace.